If you're a naturopathic doctor and you're looking to improve your marketing, well, I'm going to share some really great concepts with you in this video that's going to help you do so. Because if you dial these in, you'll be able to stand out from your competition, you'll be able to attract more clients, and quite honestly, you'll be able to work from anywhere you like, even if you don't want to be in your clinic. Hey, what's going on? Yuri Elkaim here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals and coaches get more clients and scale their virtual practices. Because quite honestly, if you're not online, you're missing out big time, right? Anyways, if you're watching this, you're most likely a naturopathic doctor. And by the way, the work you're doing in this world is incredible. As you can tell, I don't have any hair. I lost my hair when I was 17 years old to an autoimmune condition called alopecia. And that was my impetus. That was my journey into kind of getting into the health space. And, that's a long time ago now. And I've been on the receiving end of many naturopathic doctors, and I've also helped many naturopathic doctors in their business. And it's just a profession I love. I think the work you're doing is it's so incredible. So I just wanted to mention that before we dive into this. So with that said, it's a real shame that so many naturopaths struggle in business. And listen, it's to really no fault of your own if that's the situation, because how many of us go through professional schooling and then we get this cool degree and then they're like, have a nice life. Oh, and by the way, we don't want you to advertise because that would be against the law. It's just ridiculous, right? Obviously that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get my point. Most health professionals are coming into the professional world of building their own business and they've got no skills. They have no idea how to do so. And that's why we Healthpreneur exist, because we've already helped thousands of your colleagues build very successful businesses by developing the necessary business and marketing skills. So I want to share a very simple concept with you in this video called the 3 M's. Okay? This is the foundation of all of your marketing. It's the first thing that we really help our clients dial in. Because if you don't have this, it doesn't matter if you get the download of the newest PDF, like 30 cool social media posts to put on Facebook. All that garbage it's not garbage. It's tactics, okay? And tactical band-aids will never solve strategic problems, just like an Advil or Tylenol is not going to solve a migraine headache because someone has histamine issues in their body that they're unaware of, okay? So the 3 M's. Number 1, so the first M is market. You're an amazing health professional. You can help a lot of people. But just because you can does not mean you should. And this is one of the biggest problems I've seen in the health space. Listen, I've been building businesses in the health space for 20 years. I've helped over 500,000 customers to better health and thousands of health professionals to better businesses. And the biggest mistake that I made back in the day was I wanted to be the generalist. I wanted to help everyone. But here's the thing is when you try to help everyone, you end up helping no one. And that may or may not be true. But the reality is when you try to help everyone, it's very tough to market that. Because here's the thing with marketing. The way I consider marketing is just think of it as one word, empathy. And if you try to talk to everyone, then naturally, no one really feels fully understood. Because if you're trying to talk to people with, let's say, an autoimmune condition or weight loss or low energy or skin issues, those are kind of different messages. And if someone has a skin issue and they come across your stuff and it's talking about something completely different, how are you supposed to relate or resonate with them? You can't. And that's okay. And I'm saying this because you have to make a decision. And the most important thing that you have to start with is you have to identify the single, right? Like 1, not 2, 1. One single target market, 1 single pain or problem. And yes, you can probably help many different people with many different problems. And that's probably the way things have been going if people just land in your clinic. But as soon as you proactively market your business, it's very challenging to do so if you help everyone. Because now the messaging is naturally diluted. And if the messaging is diluted, then people don't feel like this is the right place for them, right? Like for instance, Healthpreneur, we only work with health professionals. Now, what we do can help any business owner, to be honest. We could help retail stores, we could help mortgage brokers, but we don't. Now, if I decided to, then I would have to put out a much more general, generic message that might apply to some, and other people might not resonate with that. One of the biggest reasons people come to work with us is because, and they tell us this all the time, I love the fact that you only work with health professionals. Bingo. Yes, obviously, right? And I'm not doing this because it's like I love, this is my background. This is where I came from. And I want to help other health experts build great businesses, because if we can do so, you help more people, right? Including yourself. So you have to narrow down to a single target market. Very, very important, because then that leads us to the second M, which is the message. I talked about this a little bit. When you know who you're speaking to, then you know exactly how to speak to them. So if someone is dealing, let's just use the example of migraine headaches, right? So because we have a number of very successful clients in that space. So I'll just use that as an example. So for those people dealing with migraines, if you know who they are, if you know what they're going through, if you know the conversation happening in their mind, if you know what's keeping them up at night, all of a sudden, all of your messaging is catered towards that language, to those thought patterns, to what's coming out of their mouth. And all of a sudden they see your stuff and they're like, oh my God, this naturopath gets me. They must have a solution for me. Because if people feel understood by you, they're most likely going to assume that you have a solution for them, which I'm sure you do, right? So the messaging is critically important. There's a couple components to really compelling messaging. I'm not going to go into all the details here. I've got a couple other videos on the channel that deal with some of that. But I do want to just remind you that the most important piece of messaging or marketing in general is empathy. And empathy basically means I see you, I understand you, I know what you're going through. Because if you come from that place, that's how you create resonance. That's how you create this sense of like, oh my God, like this naturopath gets me. She or he knows what I'm going through. And yes, like how do you stand out from every other naturopath? Well, this is what you do, the 3 M's, right? Number 1 is to identify a single target market. There's tons of other naturopaths out there, and they probably do a bunch of stuff. Well, what if you were the specialist in migraines? What if you were the specialist in Hashimoto's? What if you were the specialist in adult acne? So you might be saying, if I go back to the market for just a second, you might be saying, okay, Yuri, well, aren't I like, I'm going to alienate a lot of people. Exactly. You want to. Right? So I'm going to give you an example of how this works in a clinical setting. So let's say you have a clinic, people come in to see you because you are the expert in a specific area. Now, what ends up happening is a lot of naturopaths and a lot of practitioners build their practice based on word of mouth, which is fine. It's the cherry on top, but you can't build a business on that. It is not sustainable and it's not scalable because you have no control over that. So you end up getting people that come in from all walks of life and you end up helping everyone, right? And that's what it is. But if you specialize in, let's say, adult acne, let's just use that as an example. You help someone transform, they look amazing, their friends start to talk, like they're like, oh my God, what the heck, what did you do? And all of a sudden, in their mind, you occupy a very specific category because you're thinking to yourself, well, I also know a friend who has this condition, they have to see this naturopath. And it becomes very, very powerful and a lot easier for people to refer business to you because you are the specialist that they, in their mind, occupies a very specific category so that it's very easy for them to say, okay, if you have this issue, go see her or him, right? So it's just, I mean, it's so important to have the single target market dialed in and obviously flowing from that is the message. Third piece is the magic, right? So this is the 3rd M. So we're talking about market, message, magic. Magic is, it's your magic. It's this thing you do. However, here's the key. How do you position and package that to the marketplace? That is the big distinction. And this is where a lot of practitioners just fall flat because they don't know this stuff. So they don't think about it. And this is the reality of humans is that we are wired for novelty, right? So we love the new thing, something we haven't seen before. And I'm not saying you have to reinvent how you help people, but you just have to put different wrapping paper on it. Because if you say, well, I've got, we'll come in and, do some stuff and help you improve your skin, cool, like that's fine. But if you were to say that I have an adult acne solution, which is a 21-day program specifically, for this, and this, now again, that's just a very loose way of how I might, frame that. But now we've put a bit of a container around it. We've turned it into something, right? And that's key. But there's a couple elements to this magic that are really important. I want to describe 3 of them to you right here. Number 1 is it needs to be something highly desirable, right? And so this goes back into number 1, which is the market. You have to be solving a pain or problem that is urgent and that needs to be solved, right? If you're helping people with migraines and half of their life is in bed because they can't function, that's a major pain or problem that they want solved. If someone has a scrape on their knee, they're like, man, it's not a big deal, right? So it has to be highly desirable. So the magic piece, okay? Second is it has to be tied into a tangible result. Now, I know we have to be careful with how we make promises, right? And obviously claims. But when you're speaking with someone, they need to know, if I'm going to invest in working with you, what is my outcome? What's expected here? And if you can articulate that in such a way where they can visually see it in their head, that's going to be powerful. So for instance, over the next 8 weeks, I'm going to help you go from where you are to fitting into your favorite skinny jeans. Okay, I can visually see that. That's very compelling. Versus I'm going to improve your wellness. Like, what? What does that even mean? Okay. And then the third thing is that there needs to be a big idea. Now, the big idea goes beyond the scope of this video, so I'll just kind of put it to the side for a second. But basically, the big idea is that there's some type of hook, something unique and different that people have not seen in the way you're presenting it before. Okay? So these are the 3 M's, and these are the fundamental pieces of your marketing. Market, message, magic. Now, once you have done some thought through that, well, then it's like, okay, well, how do you put this all together to bring people in? Now, if you are a naturopath who is not doing stuff online, well, maybe you should, because I think 2020 was a big wake-up call for many. But if you are working with people virtually as well as in your clinic, or if you want to be 100% online, then this 3M process can make a huge difference for how you find people who've never even heard of you. And if you want to get more clients coming in to work with you within the space of a couple of days or short weeks who've never heard of you before, and I'm not talking like a one-off session, I'm talking about committing to a longer-term program that actually helps them achieve their outcome, we've got a great training called the Perfect Client Pipeline. There's a link for it below. Watch it today, and I'll show you our 4-step blueprints that, for the most part, almost automatically finds people, brings them in to work with you in a much more sustainable, scalable, and predictable fashion than sitting back and hoping people will fall into your lap. So if you like that, and you'd like to see how the 3Ms can work within that type of blueprint, then click the link below, watch the Perfect Client Pipeline training today. It will make a huge difference for how you see your business, okay? So that's all for now. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe somewhere around here to the channel. We've got lots of other videos to help you grow a very successful online health business.